Content presented in Cheshire Corners is for educational and informational purposes only. Please consult a legal professional if you have any questions or concerns about the content of this disclaimer, this series, or the legal implications surrounding psychedelic substances in your jurisdiction.
Sunny day here in Colorado, and welcome to Cheshire Corners. Let's trip together through the looking glass.
The human environment is everything that surrounds us. Our experiences, our memories, the spaces we live in, and the emotions we carry. In many ways, you could say, it's the invisible atmosphere that shapes who we are.
We are very lucky today. We have a wonderful guest here. Her name is Dr. Dara Cunningham.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We here at the Cheshire Corners writing a psychedelic Bible. So we would like to hear from you about the story of Dara. How that happened? That PhD in architecture decide to look into psychedelics.
I have a dual PhD in cognitive science and architecture. While I was doing my research for my PhD, I ran across some of the neuroscience studies on psychedelics, have been showing that psychedelics, particularly psilocybin, are great for things like anxiety and depression and treating PTSD and even addiction.
Not only do I think psilocybin makes nicer people, but I believe psilocybin makes smarter, more intelligent people, especially as they age.
Major universities around the world have been conducting studies over the past few years.
The University of Guelph is getting a government license to study so-called magic mushrooms and the psychedelic compounds that they contain. The license comes amid a growing interest in the potential benefits of magic mushrooms to treat a wide range of medical issues.
States like Colorado, Oregon, and New Mexico have been making or decriminalizing psilocybin so that people can use that in a therapeutic way. And they're doing this because it is being shown to be so promising and effective in treating some of the most common disorders that we have in the mental health world.
Makes Colorado the second state to decriminalize magic mushroom possession. It will allow licensed treatment centers to give out psychedelics.
Yeah, and Texas, they doing study on Ibogaine.
Yeah.
Texas.
The state of Texas just granted $50 million for research into Ibogaine.
Texas is home to more veterans than any other state of the United States of America. Many of those veterans suffer from so many different types of injuries, both seen and unseen. Many struggle with things like depression, PTSD, and opioid use disorder. The same is true for some of our first responders, as well as others who are dealing with addiction-based issues. A therapy that has shown great promise in treating those conditions is Ibogaine. I'm about to sign a law that will lead to an FDA-approved drug development clinical trial that will seek approval of Ibogaine as a medication for the treatment of opioid use disorder and other behavioral health conditions, especially so those suffered by our veterans. Texas will invest $50 million to support this research, and these funds can be matched by grants and private investments. I'm proud to sign it into law. Texas is now leading the way in the United States for the evaluation of Ibogaine as a potential medication that can help improve the lives of so many Americans.
Pretty exciting time, really, to be in the psychedelic world. And it is going through this process because it is being shown to be so effective.
When you heard about the whole psychedelic revolution, what did you do at that time? Where were you working? What were your interests?
Initially, I did because I went through a period of depression myself. and was going to therapy, going to multiple different types of therapy, and not finding relief from that depression. I finally ended up having a somatic therapist that I was working with suggest that I might want to look into trying psilocybin because it's been showing to have so much promise. And I knew that from doing my own research. So I tried it and it worked. It had the effect of pushing me out of that state of depression. And that made me feel like this is an area that I really wanted to get into, that I had already done the research on it. I was already pretty positive about it and decided that this is an area that I really wanted to focus on for my career. I have been credentialed through the Colorado Natural Medicine Health Act program, and I'm also getting my clinical mental health license through Europa University.
You, somebody who never tried psychedelics before this experience, right? This depression.
Not therapeutically. I mean, like a lot of people, I tried, particularly in Colorado, mushrooms are around every fall. It's just kind of mushroom season. And I did try them in like high school and right after that. But, did not really, it was okay, it was fine, but recreationally it's not necessarily something that I want to do. Trying them out therapeutically, I was just amazed at how well they work.
I'm somebody who went through depressions as well. So I able to describe depression as I don't think it's a bad mood. It is kind of, but bad mood is just one of the symptoms. But if I would describe it, I would describe it as a black hole that sucks you down. And everything that you would think is going to be positive, the same thing would be negative, like a magnet that gets you to the lowest point possible and pulls you in.
Yeah.
How would you describe how psilocybin gets you out of that hole?
Well, I ended up doing 2 journeys 6 months apart. But the effect of that first journey was really to get me unstuck. That's the best way that I know how to put it, is I was feeling very stuck in that dark place and couldn't seem to get out of it. And antidepressants are not something that works very well for me. I have tried them in the past, and a lot of people have had that same experience. But yeah, what psilocybin did was just pushed me out of that hole, got me unstuck, and allowed me to continue on that path of making more positive changes to my life. That second journey really fully integrated everything for me. Really amazing, and the research shows us that what happens in a psilocybin journey, you are getting the benefit of your brain really becoming open to making new connections, or allowing parts of your brain that don't normally talk to each other to talk to each other. You have a window of opportunity of about a month after a ceremony where that ability continues and the neuroplasticity of your brain is much more flexible and open, where you can start really putting some positive changes into place that will last because you're integrating them while your brain is still very flexible and open to those sorts of changes.
I feel like there was a feeling that you can see that nothing changes in your life, right? But you just have a different perspective and you're looking at this kind of wider and from a just different side. And almost like Limitless Peel from that Limitless movie, right? It's not like you know more. It just those connections are made. And it's like, that was easy, or that would be easy, or I can do this.
There are parts of your brain that really hold emotion that don't necessarily have words. What psychedelics do is allow those parts that don't have words to express themselves in a way that your more rational, logical, speaking side of the brain can pay attention to. That's what I found, is that my brain in my first journey really showed me what I needed to see in order to move forward in my life.
What do you think about microdosing?
I do microdose, and I do recommend it for my clients. They really have a different purpose. The macrodose is to give you that big experience and help you get unstuck and begin to make those positive changes in your life. Microdosing is being shown now to be as good as or better than taking antidepressants for the most part in managing those depressive symptoms. It's an option to try, and for some people that's where they want to start, and then they'll try a macrodose. For others, they may only microdose, and if that manages their symptoms, then they may not need a macrodose. Different purposes, but with the same overall effect.
Some people may argue that psychedelics, specifically microdosing, is just a placebo.
Yeah, I would tell them that is not the case. They do have an effect, and they have an effect even if you don't have a hallucinogenic experience. And for some people, it's not hallucinogenic, but it still has that effect of making your brain more flexible and open for at least a short amount of time, if not longer. It is a whole issue in the medical research world in that it's very difficult to have a placebo control for psychedelics, because if people have tried them, they are expecting a certain level of psychoactivity happening that's hard to replicate in something that's not psychedelic. It's not a placebo, and in fact, it's been a challenge for the medical community to find good placebos to use as control groups for their studies.
Tell us, what do you think going to happen to Dara, to Colorado, to us? What do you see?
I'm on the journey to becoming a clinical facilitator for psychedelics. Right now, I am credentialed to be a guide. I am a guide, and that is what I do now. I have a small client base there. That's my plan, is to continue in that direction and really become one of the leading experts in this field of psychedelic therapy, and to continue to make improvements in the way that we view treatment for things like depression and anxiety, particularly for people who have been treatment resistant in the past. The psychedelics gives us that opportunity.
So yesterday I listened to a podcast with Rick Perry, who's sponsoring this initiative. And he said as much as he has differences with Colorado governor and others, they all agree on this psychedelic subject. But people asking him, why would he put his long career and everything he has at risk in order to work on psychedelics? And I like his answers. And first his answer was, he doesn't think he's putting it in risk because he did the study. He understands that this is not just something. There is a really substance behind it. And the second thing is that if he will risk his career and actually something's going to damage that, at least this good of a cause, there's something that he just can't stop. This is something that has to be done.
Yeah, and I agree. This really gives us a way to help people that we haven't had before. Or I guess kind of ironically, we did kind of have it before, and then it was made illegal. And these substances have been used for thousands of years by really every culture in the world. Kind of turned our backs on that for a while, and now we have an opportunity to really learn from the substances and determine how to treat people in a way that is much more effective than the current medications that we have.
I think it's our opportunity right now, specifically in Colorado, that's where we're at. And I do not think when people asking me why I'm doing it, because there's right now no money to it, and I'm a business person. The best answer I can give is that because I just can't stop. There is something bigger than me, and somebody is actually pushing me. Who knows what it is, but somebody's pushing me to do this work. And I'm enjoying it because I feel like I'm a part of something really, really big. And I think it's gonna happen. It's just happening a little slower than we want it. But if you think that there is time is an illusion, we just have to learn to be patient.
And it is slowly becoming much more open and available for people to try who, quite honestly, may have never tried it because they saw a stigma with taking psychedelics, or the research is really showing that there's no reason to feel that way, that there shouldn't be a stigma attached to it, to what is being shown to be the most effective treatments for, again, depression, anxiety, PTSD in particular. It's just really been groundbreaking, what the research is showing.
What would you tell to somebody who is afraid to take psychedelics?
I would say that, one, you want to go with someone who has experience and, preferably has the credentialing behind that. But two, psychedelics have been shown overall to be very safe. And if you're working with someone who is experienced, you will have gone through an evaluation. We do a psychosocial medical evaluation before we work with anyone. There are very, very few instances where it's not appropriate for someone, and those would be typically for people who have a psychotic disorder or have schizoaffective disorder or severe bipolar. It's not recommended for people in that state of mind. But having said that, they are doing some promising research in those areas as well. It's really just going with a practitioner that has experience, knows what they're doing, and knowing for yourself that overall psychedelics are incredibly safe. There are very few physical risks and mental health risks for actually doing this.
Hopefully, we're looking for the bright future. Again, Rick Perry yesterday said that he feels like AI and psychedelics equally important and exciting. Thank you so much for joining our podcast. Thank you, and I would like to ask everybody, please like us, subscribe to this channel. Send this to your friends so you will know what's happening here in Colorado and how we're getting across of going through the people's stigma and be happier and more productive and being in the zone and form the community. And here we are at the Cheshire Corners. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Dara, for coming.
Thank you.